Hi guys, today I'm at the Beehive in Charlottetown near the Sobeys and we're going to talk about honeybees. This is the Urban Beehive Project, which has this cool stage where you can climb and learn about bees and the flowers they like to visit. There are also two beehives inside these very interesting looking buildings. I thought it would be a good place to come and talk to some bees about the kind of work they do. This is the entrance to the hive, and you can see lots of bees coming and going. Let's see if we can get one of them to tell us what they're doing. Excuse me ladies, I'm Nick, and I was hoping that you could tell us... Sorry human, there's no time for that, can't you see we're busy? Yes, but I promise this won't take... Look, can you move out of the way? We have a lot of important deliveries coming in this door, please and thank you. Oh, sure, sorry. Well I guess I'll have to do the explaining this time. Bees, ants, and wasps are all part of the same family of insects, called Hymenoptera. If you look at this picture, you can see that all three have the same sort of thin waist. You can tell the difference between honeybees and other similar insects in two ways. First, bees are much more fuzzy, and second, their back legs are thicker and have a special place to collect flower pollen called a pollen basket. Like all insects, bees have three main body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Bees have two special mouth parts, mandibles to chew with, and a long tongue they use to drink flower nectar. They also have very good eyes and can see the sun even through heavy clouds. They can also see ultraviolet light, which means that to bees, flowers glow like this. That makes it easier for bees to find the flowers they like. Look, are you sure you don't want to help me? It'd be much better if you explained your life cycle and everything. What's your name? Yeah, you. Me? I'm Melissa. Okay, Melissa, do you think you could tell us about the life of a bee? Oh, all right, but I'm supposed to be on my break right now. Life for a worker bee starts when the queen bee lays an egg in what we call a brood cell. It's a kind of baby crib made from beeswax. When the egg hatches, a bee larva comes out. Nurse bees take care of the baby bees, feeding them honey till they get nice and chubby and are ready to change into an adult bee. Then a wax cap is put over the top of the cell so our new sister can have some privacy while she changes into an adult worker bee. After about 20 days, she'll have finished changing. Then she chews her way through the wax cap, and after a few more hours, she's ready to start working. Melissa, do you think you could show us the inside of the hive and explain the different jobs? Oh, I don't think Her Glorious Majesty the Queen would like that. Well, what if it was just a quick visit? Oh, all right. Just don't get me in any trouble. Okay, this way. Follow me. Coming through. Excuse me, sisters. All right, we're in. Now, the first job a worker bee has after she pupates is cleaning. For about the first 15 days of our lives, we clean the cells from top to bottom, making sure they're ready for storing honey or pollen or for the queen to lay her eggs in. We can't have our new baby sisters born in sticky, dirty cells. You can see these workers checking on the cells to make sure they're perfect. Here's the nursery, where the nurses are taking care of the babies. If you look carefully into the cells, you can see the larvae being fed their honey and pollen. Each baby is visited over 1,000 times by a nurse every day. You can also see the wax caps over the cells, where some of the sisters are changing into adult bees. Some of my sisters are construction workers. They make wax from special glands under their abdomen and use it to build and cap the cells that we store the pollen and honey in. Other sisters are pollen storers. They push the pollen that the foragers bring back to the hive into the storage cells with their heads. If you look carefully, you can see their butts sticking out of the cells that they're packing full of pollen. So, how do you ladies find all of that pollen and nectar to bring back to the hive? Well, once we've done all the other jobs in the hive, cleaner, baby nurse, air conditioner, builder, pollen storer, honey maker, and guard, then we're allowed to leave the hive and become foragers. And did you just say air conditioner was a job? Becoming a forager is the most exciting job for a worker. You get to fly around outside looking for good flowers. This is Daisy. She's one of our top foragers. She's always out there looking for high-grade pollen and nectar to bring back to the hive. If you look at a honeybee's legs, you can see when they filled up their pollen baskets. It looks like they have a little yellow or orange ball attached to their back legs. Check out the signs we have at the Urban Beehive. You can see how we go from flower to flower, collecting pollen and drinking nectar. We also have a special place in our bellies called a honey crop for storing nectar. Before they can come back into the hive, the foragers are checked out at the entrance by guard bees. The guards use their antennae to sniff the bees coming in to make sure they belong to our group. If they pass the smell test, they can come in and share their nectar so we can make honey, and store their pollen so we can make bee bread. Ooh, that looked like some good pollen there. Did you see that? Here's Daisy now. She's filled up both her pollen baskets, and she's going to bring them up to the pollen storage workers. As she passes her sisters, they'll check the quality of her pollen using their antenna. If Daisy thinks that her sisters should visit the same flowers she went to, she'll do a special dance to show them where the flowers are. If the other foragers agree that her pollen is good enough, they'll fly back to the place she told them about. Sorry. Excuse me, girls. Coming through. I just need to get to the pollen storage. Would you just get out of the way, please? I'm looking for an empty cell to put my pollen in. Oh, maybe. Yes, this one looks good. What is Daisy doing? She's putting her pollen in the cell, and then one of the other workers will use their heads to squish it down tight. So, the queen and the workers, they're all women, right? Yes. Are there any men in the hive? Yes, a few. We call them drones. They're bigger than the other workers and have huge eyes. Oh, and what do they do? Nothing much that I can see. They certainly eat a lot. Look, there's one now in the middle of the honeycomb, waggling his big butt.
Hey, can I get some more honey?
You've been up here 6 times already today. Don't you do anything but eat? Get out of here.
But I'm still hungry. Can't you spare just a drop? I've got a rumbly in my tumbly.
No, this is for the babies. Now you get out of here, you useless drone, or I'll pull your antenna off. You know, it seems kind of crowded in the hive. What do you do if it gets too full? Oh, well then we workers make special big cells. Choose a baby bee and feed her lots of royal jelly, and she'll become a new queen. After she pupates, she'll take half the bees in the hive and they'll find a new place to live. You sometimes see us swarming like this when we're finding a new home. Wow, how are you guys hanging on to each other like that? Oh, it's not so difficult. We can even do it inside the hive like this. Actually, when we sleep, we sisters usually curl up in a pile of tangled legs. It's kind of cute, really. Last year I found this bee. Her name's Juniper, and she was asleep in the snow. So I took her home and I warmed her up and I fed her some honey water and she woke up. But can you tell me why? Remember when I mentioned the air conditioner bees? Temperature is very important to us. Inside the hive we need to keep it exactly 35 degrees. If it gets too hot, the air conditioner bees fan the air with their wings to cool it down. But if we get too cold, then we can't move anymore. Juniper was probably a forager who was outside looking for pollen for too long, and it got too cold and she couldn't fly back to the hive. Well, she didn't like being inside the little house I made for her, because she chewed right through the plastic roof, so I let her go when she was warm enough to fly again. That's good. Her sisters were probably worried about her. But I have seen other bees living in houses that human beings build for them. What's that all about? Humans have been building bee houses for hundreds of years. They use them to get honey and beeswax, and they often keep them close to fields where they have flowers that need to be pollinated. That way we bees can help them grow their fruits and nuts and other foods. But doesn't it bother you that humans are stealing your honey? Well, we're not crazy about it, no, but there are a few good things. If the farm we're on is organic, then the flowers should be safe for us to take pollen from. And the boxes are built especially for us, so they're easy to use. And there's not as much chance of a skunk or another predator getting into the hive, which is nice. Plus, the beekeepers always leave us enough honey in the hive so we can feed ourselves and the babies. It's not too bad a life. Well, I know that humans do appreciate the honey. It tastes great, and it's really good if you've got a sore throat. Plus, beeswax candles? Those things smell amazing. Yes, and don't forget, if we weren't doing our jobs, you wouldn't have any cherries or blueberries, and you'd have a lot less apples and melons and all kinds of other foods. Now, I've been hearing a lot lately about how bees are having some problems, and that some of the hives aren't doing very well. Yes, that's true. There are lots of things that can affect beehives. There's other insects like hornets and hawk moths that like to raid our hives and steal honey. That's why we have our guards at the entrance to protect us. Plus, if a wax moth gets in and lays her eggs, then these wax worms will eat the walls of our home. But the biggest problem we have is how much poison people are using on giant farms and even in their gardens. They use it for other insects that they don't want, but it makes bees sick too. There's one kind of poison that's especially bad that's made from nicotine, the same stuff you find in cigarettes, and it's been hurting bees all over the world. Oh, I'm really sorry. Is there anything that humans can do to help? Well, of course. Stop using so much poison for one thing. And plant local types of wildflowers in your garden or on your balcony. And don't cut down all the dandelions. We bees need them in early spring when there aren't any other flowers around. Okay, I'll try to remember all of those things. Well, thanks so much, Melissa, for showing us all around a hive.
Melissa? Oh, Melissa? Who is that you've been talking to? Is that a swatter?
Oh no, it's the Queen. I knew I'd get in trouble. I better go. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Well, thanks again. There they go again, calling me a swatter. Well, maybe if I do some of those things Melissa mentioned, I can get them to trust me.